Mr. Mike, what's happening, man? Hey, what's going on, brother? How you doing today?
Good, how are you doing?
Can't complain, man. Another day in paradise. I had a little bit of a rough start to my morning, but then I had somebody kind of kick me back into shape and was like, "Get it together, man." So here I am.
Good, good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, no, your audio is just fine, man. Everything's cool. So, where you calling from today?
I live in Edmonton in Alberta, Canada.
Wow,
Do you know where that is?
no idea. I'm like geographically challenged in a sense or two.
We are just north of like Montana.
Okay. So that's like east, right? East and like kind of like east north, right? Kind of northeast. Because I'm from New Jersey,
West.
so west.
West, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. See, I'm kind of like geographically challenged, but it's okay. It's okay.
No
So,
worries.
you've been in Canada your whole life?
Yeah, yeah. I'm from Canada. I've been in Canada my whole life. Yeah. How about you?
Nice. So I've been here in the U.S. my whole life. I've been based off of the East Coast here in New Jersey. This is where I was born and raised. But recently, I've been spending a lot of time in um, like mid country in Iowa, and then I found myself in Florida for a year or two. So yeah, but primarily all here in the U.S. Man, have you ever visited here before?
Yeah, I've been a few times. I've been to Vegas and
Of course.
Southern California, of course. Yeah.
Nice. Those are
So,
two places I haven't been to yet, but
no way.
yeah, dude, I haven't been out to Vegas yet. I haven't been out to California yet. I've yet to make my way over there. I know there's a time and there's a place, and I don't want to force anything, so I'm just waiting till the time is right, and then I'll find myself out there, doing whatever it is I'll do. But yeah, dude, I want to get into the nitty gritty here. I'm really excited. Thank you for taking your time out to chat today. I think this is really cool, and I think that we can help inspire a lot of people who are looking to enter the whole entrepreneur space in one sense or another. So, why don't you just start off and start sharing a little bit about what you've been doing in your Amazon business and kind of how it all originated. And I have some questions here I'll ask, but I want to hear a little bit more about your background and about yourself first.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. So, from my training, I actually, out of high school, started in the trades. So, I actually went and went to school and did my kind of like apprenticeship, it's called, in machining. So, like, I made parts out of metal essentially for the oil and gas industry. So, I did that for about 5 years. And then I looked around and I was working with a lot of engineers and what's called engineering technologists,
Mm-hmm.
and I decided to go back to school. So I went back to school, got my degree, came out, and then I started working in the engineering field. So I actually still do that part time right now.
Okay.
So I work as a on the mechanical, so HVAC and plumbing and stuff like that. And then about a year and a half ago, a partner and I decided to start an Amazon business. So pretty much, we've been grinding it for a year and a half. We started out in the online arbitrage space. So, like we were drop shipping. So buying stuff off of places like Walmart and eBay, sending them directly to the customers, that whole way of selling. And then we actually found a mentor out of Southern California, and we did a mentorship through him. So it was kind of like a one-on-one type course. This kid is like, at the time, so he's 17 years old.
It's not Roman Cresto, is it?
And yeah. Is or he was and he still is like a pretty impressive kid.
Yeah, I love
And
it.
yeah, so we did a one-on-one with him, kind of my partner and I, and it went really well. He got us into the business. So now we do Amazon wholesale. So we work with wholesalers, distributors, and brands directly and purchase products from them and sell them on Amazon. So we've been doing that for about a year and a half. We've grown our business from 0 to 6 figures in that time. I spend most of my time and
Months?
attention building that business. Pardon?
In 6 months? 0 to 6 figures?
0 to 6 figures in 6 months. Yeah.
Congratulations, bro. That's pretty
So
amazing. It's not like many people in the world are doing that. So kudos to you guys.
yeah, I appreciate it. And I mean, that's from the time that we started with a mentor. So we were doing online arbitrage for a couple of months there. I mean, we were getting our feet wet. We didn't know if we wanted to really commit to that, so we weren't going crazy with it. We'd spend, an hour or two a day type thing between the two of us trying to just set this up. And then we found wholesale, and it's like this is infinitely more scalable. You can order items in bulk, and you can really do something with the business that doesn't take, basically the more you scale doesn't necessarily mean more time and attention,
Hmm.
whereas some of the other models did. So once we started wholesale, it was, yeah, zero to 100,000 in 6 months. And I
Very
mean, that's sales. I'm not going to claim that we made $100,000, but yeah.
well.
So yeah, that's kind of been this.
I was just gonna say you have a lot of guys out there that are saying, "Oh, we did like 3 billion in real estate," but the reality is it's not all obviously profit; it's revenue.
Exactly.
But it is what it is. But still amazing. So my bad. Go ahead.
No worries, no worries. Yeah. So then, I mean, since that time, we've been going for probably about a year and 4 months now on the wholesale grind. And yeah, we're coming into the fourth quarter. We've never been in a better position. We're getting inventory in. We're, keeping our account nice and healthy and starting to really grow and scale this business to a point where we won't have to do anything else one day. So that's the main goal, is to be able to, quit everything else that we're doing and then bump this up to on a full-time basis, and then really, get ourselves a warehouse and start scaling.
Wow,
So that's me. That's my story.
that's awesome, bro. That's really awesome. So let me ask you this. So now that we're talking about like the vision, like post this, like where do you see yourself in when you close your eyes and you're like, this is where I'm going to be in 30 years. Where do you see yourself in 30 years with this model being as successful as you see it to be? Like, what is that 30-year goal entail for you?
30 years, hey?
Yeah, sure.
Far out, but all right, we'll go 30 years. So I mean, the ultimate goal really is just to build an automated business that runs itself, that can support me. You know, I'm not I'm not a super flashy guy. Like, you're never gonna see me driving an exotic car or anything like that. So that's not where my head's at. But I want the financial freedom, the time freedom that comes with it. I want to, build out a business that runs itself, that is able to scale itself when I step away. You can ask anyone around me, my partner, my wife. I'm a workhorse. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna turn 40 and have my sights set on golfing in Florida or anything like that. But at the same time, I want the ability to, go away for a week or two, come back and know that everything's okay. Everything's being ran while I'm gone. And not only that, but it's able to grow while I'm gone as well. So one day I really could step away from it and it's a completely self-sufficient business. That's where I see myself. That's what my goals are, and that's where I want to be. And
That,
then whatever I choose to do with that time and money is undecided at this point. So
yeah,
yeah.
for sure, for sure. So you ultimately see yourself with the ultimate cash cow where you can step aside and have the right people in the right places, and whatever that lifestyle entails, so be it, whether it be other passive flows or new hobbies, like that's pretty amazing, man. So I want to get into some pretty interesting topics here. Let me see, as of what we spoke about now, where do we start here? Oh, so let me ask you this. So I know when you started. Now, what inspired you to get on this venture and say, "Hey, like I want to take some time to build something so I can start stepping away from my job"? Like, I think I just nailed it. So, what inspired you to start taking this journey?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it really was. coming out of school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Like out of high school, I was struggling to find something. Then I went back to school, and actually going to post secondary really opened my eyes. Like I'm really glad I did, even though my goal is to probably not use my education eventually. But it opened my eyes, and I knew that I wanted an infinite ceiling. I wanted the ability to grow and scale something beyond just what my boss would allow me to do.
Mm.
And I wasn't interested in, and I'm still not interested in, like a 5% raise per year. I want the ability to work my ass off and reap the rewards because of that.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's so awesome, bro. So, have you ever? Are you familiar with a YouTube channel? It's called Valuetainment by any chance?
Never heard of it
Uh, Patrick Bet David. Does that ring a bell by any
personally.
chance?
No. No, I don't think I've heard of him. No. Enlighten me.
So, dude, I one of my mentors just told me to read this book, and I'm not trying to advertise anybody. I'm not getting affiliate cuts of any, obviously, but I read this book, Your Next Five Moves, and you were talking about having like a cap. It's called Your Next Five Moves, but they're talking about caps within business, and it's like who realistically wants to ever go into a business where you can't come into your own and say, hey, like, you can't just walk up to your boss and say, hey, what actions do I need to take, and what do I need to hit in order to get skin in the game with the business? Like, how do I gain equity in the business? Most, owners or managers would laugh and they'd, make fun of you, but it's like within a real exponentially growing company, you ask that to a legitimate owner, and then you turn yourself into, in the book, they talk about something called being an intrapreneur, which is your own proprietor within an already pre-established business. And I read that and I thought that concept was so cool because I don't think we see that in many businesses nowadays. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I 100% agree with that. And actually, a lot of different literature that I've find myself reading lately speaks of entrepreneurship and that whole racket and getting away from your 9 to 5, this and that. But I like the idea of being an entrepreneur as well. And that's kind of where I'm at within the company that I work with, kind of at my 9 to 5. I'm working towards being someone that's, the go-to guy, right?
Mm,
There's this book that I really like. The author is escaping me right now. I was gonna try to look it up while you're talking,
sure.
but it's called Lynchpin.
Dude, somebody told me to read that. I have
And
that.
it, yeah, it's a high recommendation. It's a fantastic book, but basically it talks about being a linchpin, and being a linchpin in an organization is being someone who everyone hinges their ideas around, being a really important person that the business or even just a business unit can't function without, and positioning yourself to being the linchpin so that you're relied on and you're looked up to. And when push comes to shove, you're going to be the one that's left when things are not going so hot with the company, and then when things are going really well, you're the first one that's going to be looked at for promotions and raises and things like that. And I think that whether you are an entrepreneur or you're working for someone else, there's value that you can take out of that, because you always want to be, no matter what the organization is, if you have skin in the game or not, you want to be a linchpin. You want to be someone who, if they went away tomorrow, the business would need. So I try to make myself that, no matter if it's my own business, if it's I'm working for someone else, no matter the case, I want to ensure that I position myself as a linchpin. And then that lends itself well to the entrepreneurship and that role within an organization.
That's so cool. I thought that entrepreneurship was like the coolest thing, and every time I entered a company, like just trying to get some skin in the game. I never really understood that whole concept or entrepreneurship, but I always knew I wanted to be part of something. But I never got gained that opportunity, and I didn't see anything through long enough because I always just wanted to run my own show, and you know. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of the whole reason we're doing what we're doing, because we want to be able to do our own thing. And I personally believe it brings a great, huge sense of greater sense of fulfillment in our lives once we have something that's our own, especially when you go from arbitrage to now wholesaling, where you can now create your own brand and you can actually build a business that, you know, has your own brand on it, which is, I think that's sick. I think the whole idea of creating an entrepreneurship is just the coolest freaking thing, and it's just amazing what we could do for our family, you know, for your future kids. I don't know if you have kids. Do you have kids by any chance?
I don't have kids. No, I just got married less than a year ago. So
Congratulations. That's awesome.
yeah,
It's a
thank you.
huge step, man.
Thank you.
So, wow. So now let's see. We talked about the books. I was going to ask you for another book recommendation, but we have Linchpin. We have two books here, Your Next Five Moves and Linchpin. So if anybody, whoever's watching
Yeah,
this, check out those two, right?
Seth Godin. That's who wrote it.
Seth Godin. Okay. I get that down.
Found it. Yeah, yeah. He's a massive writer. He's huge in the entrepreneur space. I've read a couple of his books, and they're always good.
Is he a marketing specialist by any chance?
Um, I believe that is how he came out. Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I've
I believe
heard his
so.
name before. I wasn't too sure. So I got a really interesting question for you here. Was there ever a point in your journey where you ultimately hit rock bottom and you were like, man, I just I don't know what to do, but I need to do something different. Have you ever hit a point like that before?
I I can't say that I've hit rock bottom. I've always been very fortunate. I'm with my now wife. We in December it'll be 11 years. So we've been together a long time. I'm 27, so we've been together since I was in grade 11, 17 years old. And she has always made me like always kept me grounded and always kept my head on my shoulders, kept me realistic and accountable to myself. So I wouldn't say that I've hit rock bottom, but I have been in a place mentally that wasn't healthy.
Hmm.
So back when I was working in the trades, it was a really unhealthy environment. Physically, I mean, it was a dirty, nasty job. You're breathing, carcinogens and gross things in all day, but also emotionally and mentally. Everybody just shows up in the morning, like we started at 6 a.m. in the morning, and everyone just rolls themselves out of bed, goes through the motions. And I looked around and there were people that were there that are, 50 years old doing the same thing that I'm doing, making literally a couple dollars more an hour and hating every second of it. They got to a point, you get to know people that you work with. I worked there for 5 years, right? They go home, they're miserable. They look forward to being at work. They get to work and they hate that too. So I mean, I started to get that way, and I knew that's not what I wanted or where I wanted to be. I knew it was unhealthy, and I was in a position where I was surrounding myself with people that I didn't want to become and I didn't want to be around. To hold the conversation and have a everyday discussion with them was great. Like they were good people, but they weren't happy and they weren't emanating the types of values and doing the things that I wanted to do.
Keywords.
So emotionally, I wasn't in the right mind frame, and I didn't have a good mindset. So for me, whether you call that rock bottom or not, it was a turning point,
Okay.
and I knew that I needed to change something. And for me, that was going back to school. For other people, that might be getting a different job, that might be starting a business, that might be, moving out of their hometown, that might be finding a girlfriend, a boyfriend, whatever that is. I think everyone has turning points. So
That's
I've
powerful.
definitely been in that position.
Yeah, I think that's a better way to put it. Instead of me saying rock bottom, I feel like that's very it's an aggressive way of putting it. So every time I ask that question now, I'll just say, "Hey, what was a major turning point in your life?" Because that was something you were dealing with emotionally, and you know how how did you express this emotional, mental kind of situation you're dealing with? What are some things you did to start building better habits to make those changes within that turning point you had in your life? And at what age? It was 5 years ago. So you were 22 when you started making this change, or like?
Yeah, I was about, well, yeah, I was about 22. So yeah, I'd come straight out of high school, started that, found myself in that position. So I think you're pretty close there. About 5 years ago, I realized that I just needed to change my environment in order to change my mindset, in order to change what I wasn't happy about. For me, that was changing my environment. So I actually, so in an apprenticeship, once you're finished, you get what's called a journeyman ticket. So you can have, like journeyman electricians, journeyman carpenters, mechanics, whatever that may be. And it's kind of like your certification after you do, your hours and your apprenticeship. I had my ticket for 2 weeks before I went back to school. Like I literally got it and I was like, cool, I did what I needed to do. Like it was something that was a long time coming in my mind, but I also, when I commit to something, I'm going to finish it.
Yeah.
So I was like, once I'm done, I'll do it. So I applied for school. I was going to go in the fall. I got accepted early in the winter and I just said, I'm going. See ya. Like if I have a job when I come back in a different position, great. If not, like I'm out. So I just went for it and it was for the better. So for me, in my environment, I didn't see that change happening. So I took the initiative to change my environment. I changed the people that I surrounded myself with. You know, it was in my field of interest, obviously. So when I went to school, I found myself around other people who wanted to better themselves, and engineering's a pretty technical conversation or a pretty technical path to take. So a lot of the people that you find yourself there with are there because they want to be there, not because they found themselves there or happen to show up. You don't really you don't really just happen or fall into that.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of people around me who had really positive and similar mindsets. They were there to better themselves and to learn and to grow. And that facilitated, school's not for everyone and I'm never going back. I'm done now. But it did for me what I needed it to do. And
Sure.
it filled that void for me. So that's exactly what it came down to, is changing my environment. And then through that, I was able to change my mindset to grow and learn and become a bigger and better person, in my opinion, anyway.
Wow. So ultimately, you had this turning point. You hit that mental situation where you're like, ugh, I see it and I hear it. And then you decided to change the environment. It's not like you just fell into this different environment. It's like, yeah, sure, people can fall into community college. You just find yourself there and you're sitting with people that are like, what are we going to do? Oh, no. Oh. And,
Yeah.
like you don't find yourself in a specialized institute to learn specialized things like that. And I'm not super experienced in that space, so I don't really, know anything about that. But it comes down to for your turning point to change this environment, and then that facilitated a change of your circle, which then equated to this developed mindset where now there's a sense of abundance, a sense of growth, a sense of just more fulfillment, and you realize it's like, so your horizons were then like broadened with that new mindset, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head right there. Yeah.
Because I know lots of people who, you know I'm not going to name any names, but I have a buddy of mine who, he always says to me, he's like, dude, I'm so upset. Like I go to work, I come home, I pay my rent, I do my thing. And I'm like, it's not like he goes without, but, he seeks more. He has that thing in him, that calling that you're feeling like, I want to make that difference. And I'm like, listen, man, it comes down to you taking some action and listening to somebody who's going to, you listen to yourself and you knew there was a route there, but sometimes, you maybe had somebody who said, hey, you should go do this, and you took action. And I told my buddy, is like, you need to change your environment. You're in the same place every single day and you have the same people you're surrounding yourself with. And it's like you said, they're not bad people, but they're not facilitating this growth that's going to take you to the outcome that you foresee, that you really feel you deserve. Because not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur and make 6 figures or 7 figures, and that's fine. Whatever allows you to live the lifestyle that you feel you deserve. And it comes down to changing your environment, changing your circle, changing the way that you think, and then everything kind of follows along. And I thought that was a perfect example of the way you put that. And I truly believe that'll help a lot of people going through the same thing because um, it's really sad to see what's going on with some people, in this world where they're just stuck and they feel hopeless and helpless. And there's just so much potential within each one of us. um, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to make six figures and to live the lifestyle you deserve. It's just our environment. Most people are a product of their environment, and they
That's
don't see
absolutely right.
beyond. You know, so I think that's really powerful, and I really appreciate that, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. You said a lot of really good things there, and I'm hoping that some of these words can inspire someone. Maybe someone happens upon this who's in that exact same position that I was in. You know, I think of it as poverty of the mind, and that maybe you don't know that there's more out there, or you don't believe it, or you don't, you've never actively seeked it. But deep down, if you're like me, if you're like yourself, like, there's more, that you need to make a change. If you're not growing and you're not learning, you're not satisfied. And that's primal. Like, you know that, and you're gonna feel that. And I know I felt that, and I went through that every day. So just know that there is opportunity to make a change. If you're not dead, there's still time.
Facts.
And there's so many resources out there that you can look to help do that. I know
Right.
I know Charlie has put together a group of people, and all of those people, I can imagine, are in that exact same scenario at one point or another in their lives, and they're there to better themselves. The people that I try to surround myself with are no different. My business partner is no different. We weren't happy with what was happening with our lives, and we decided to change the trajectory. And entrepreneurship was the route that helped us find that. And we grow and build this business together. But this trajectory has pushed us in the paths of so many more people. I mean, I wouldn't have found Charlie here without my path to entrepreneurship. I wouldn't have found, any of the other people that I do interviews with. I've through my mentorships and different groups that I'm in, there's hundreds of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs who work for other businesses that I've, made acquaintances with or become fast friends with over this past year and a half. And they're all really just there to better and grow themselves, and always just striving for the next best thing. Everyone's on different levels, but there's one thing in common, and that's that we're aiming to go up always. We're not looking to stay stagnant, and we're not happy with not changing.
Well,
So please know that there are resources out there.
facts, dude. Facts. There's so many resources, so many people to talk to. People are just there's a strong sense of acquired fear that we've learned through our environment. Most people had to learn the fear, and now we need to unlearn it because when we're born and we're kids, we're fearless, we're loving, we're happy, we're appreciative, we live in abundance, we know there always is enough. Most people born, usually have a decent upcoming, and for one reason or other, some people may have shitty upbringings, but I'll tell you, we learn fear from this world sometimes, and we acquire and we hold on to this past way of thinking. um but there are better ways of living. We are infinite. There are so many things we could do with our lives. And like Mike said, we're not dead yet. So many things we could do. As morbid as it may sound, it's not. It's the complete opposite. So I really do appreciate that. And I know everybody else does as well. You mentioned a very strong word there before, value, uh, values. So if you had to pinpoint four core values that you align yourself with, that you kind of filter out relationships and situations in your life, what would be those three or four essential values that you allow yourself to abide by?
So first and foremost, I might struggle to get three or four because
Okay.
as technical of a background and as I have, I definitely am pretty simple guy. Probably loyalty to a fault to some degree. I will believe anything anyone says until they, I give you the benefit of the doubt until they prove me wrong. So
Sure.
if you say something, I tend to believe it, and tend to not be very skeptical, which is probably to my detriment. But that's something that I look for in people that I associate myself with. And I know that all of my closest friends and even relatives, that's one thing that we all have in common is loyalty. And I think that that's more important than so many other things in life. Honesty. I've really made an effort throughout the past 10 years of my life to always be honest and truthful with the people that I talk to. Everyone tells little white lies and fibs and they embellish the truth. But at the end of the day, if you have good intentions and the things that you say are from a good place and they come from a place of truth, then I tend to want to associate myself with you. And sometimes it takes me a while to figure out who's telling me the truth and who's not, but it always fleshes itself out. And if you are a trustworthy, loyal, and honest person, then you're probably going to do well being around me, because those are two of the biggest qualities that I try to emulate myself. And I just try to, tell it like it is. I don't, like, even before, zero to six figures in 6 months, but I'm like, that's not profit. Like, I didn't make that much money,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure, for
I
sure.
don't want to mislead people. I'm currently actively mentoring a few people, and I always start with, you know what? I'm not an 8-figure seller. Like, I haven't been doing this 10 years, but I have learned, A, B, and C, and I can get you at least that far. So I'm always very honest, upfront, truthful. I may not market myself to my full potential because of that fact, to be honest, but at the same time, I know that when I'm selling something, when I'm, have any business dealings, I know even with like my own relationships with family and friends, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be truthful. And if you treat me well, I'm going to be loyal back to you. And that's truly what I care about most. So let's nail it down to honesty, trustworthiness, and loyalty. Those
Gotcha.
are really-
So these three here: trustworthiness, honesty, and loyalty. Um, how how have when you see yourself aligning with these values, how has it positively affected your life by abiding by these three ways of being, in terms of your relationships and whatnot and business dealings?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with business dealings. So I haven't talked about this a whole lot, but I have mentioned it. But within our own business and our Amazon account, we actually got suspended this year. So we were out of business for over 2 months. And in that time, we had kind of set up a new account, got ourselves back on our feet, and then we used some consultants and actually got our main account back up and running. So we're fully operational and good to go for Q4. But we did have a point in time that we were down, and really through those values, when I created relationships with my suppliers, when I was first opening up accounts, and all the people that I get my products from, tried to create anyway personal relationships with these people, and I use those values just by way of who I am and my virtues. And I was transparent and honest with them and said, hey, look, like, we're down right now. This is our main channel of selling. I'm probably not going to be buying anything within the next couple of weeks. Like, I hope to be up as soon as possible. It might be quick, it might take a while, but please, know that I'm being honest with you. Bear with me. And I think every single account that we were previously doing business with, and I mean, we went from spending thousands and thousands of dollars a month on product with them to the point where, they would call us up with when they had new deals, and these sales reps or owners of these businesses, like they rely on us to purchase product for them to feed their families, right?
Hmm.
And I don't think I lost a single one because I was honest with them and, I was loyal to them. I went back to them and continued to purchase product when we got back up. So by emulating those values, I was able to continue a business relationship. That's always how I start my relationships, how I conduct myself in business, and how I hopefully plan on being able to maintain long lasting relationships, both business and in a personal sense. So, I mean, same thing with my personal life. Like I said, I've been with my wife now for almost 11 years, and we tell each other everything. We're honest and we're loyal to each other. We're one of those couples that we bicker, and you have these little artificial fights that are really about nothing, about stupid household things, but we've never really had problems that like challenge our relationship to a point where it's like I don't know if we can move past this. Like we just don't have that because we treat each other with respect and we're trustworthy and loyal and honest. So if you are able to emulate those values, it's going to take you a long way. I mean, I'm not saying that there's probably not 100 other values that are important or even maybe more important, but for me, those are the big three. And I find that up to this point, you conduct yourself with those and you'll generally find yourself on the up and up no matter what outcome you're facing, what resistance you're facing. So
Incredible. One thing that I've seen through the way the conversation we've been having is your transparency too. You mentioned transparency. I think you're pretty transparent. So transparency is real big. I think that's awesome because you were all of the above, all the above you stated. Um, but with transparency, you were so transparent with these suppliers that they saw the truth. And I just think transparency isn't one of my core values, but I still appreciate the heck out of transparency. And I still, you know what, I gotta add that to my value list, transparency. So anyways, all in all, man, I think this is really great. Now I asked you a lot about a lot. uh you were in a good position all in all before you started this venture, which was incredible. Now I want to ask you, this is a good one. If you can name three main role models that you've had in your life, who would those three main role models be?
ooh. Uh what do I think? What type of role models?
So,
Any and all?
and I mean, like even Roman, I still look up to Roman. I think Roman's an incredible guy, and I've only had our relationship together for maybe like 6 7 months, but he's somebody I look up to. I have tons of role models, but if I had to give you an example for me, one of my mentors just asked me this exact question 2 days ago, and for me it was Ty Lopez, Patrick Bet David, and who was the third one? I don't know. I'm on a stump here. But how about this? Who is somebody who's been really prevalent in your life, who's inspired you to achieve more than you have?
So I will start with Tim Ferriss.
Oh,
So
4 hour
yeah,
work week. Yes.
yeah. So I mean, it's super cliche, and I'm sure that 1,000 people say this, but 4 Hour Work Week was actually I like a lot of his books. Tools of Titans is another super good book. If you like kind of interview style text and hearing from really, really successful people, that's another awesome book that I highly recommend you check out. It's a little bit thick, but you can skip around. But Tim Ferriss, he actually opened up my eyes to automation. That was one of the biggest things that was a takeaway for me from his kind of teachings and experiences was automation and how you can actually, I mean, that's the whole premise of 4 Hour Work Week, is being able to automate your business to a point where you can work 4 hours a week or step away from your business and it can still thrive. And it was really, as you asked, what's my 30-year goal, and it's like quite literally to automate as much as possible and to grow business, to a point where it can be automated. So he broke down in that. And, I subscribe to this is going to turn into a marketing commercial for Tim Ferriss. He does 5 bullet point Fridays. So you subscribe to this email list and he just sends out 5 bullet points every single Friday, and they're always jammed packed with all kinds of different things. And it's really well rounded in that it goes into kind of like the music he's listening to right now, the books that he's reading, like all these different things. And it's just all these different viewpoints and opinions. And it's not necessarily all just entrepreneurship or automation or building a business related. It really shows him as a person and not just the robot that you read about in the 4 Hour Work Week. But he's a huge role model because, again, I think it's a little bit of the transparency. He really gives you an in-depth look into his life and what he's done in the past and what the steps he took to get there. And I just really appreciated that. And I kind of reminded me of the path that I'm on and the journey that I'm seeking, and really gave me some actionable steps at that point in my life and some things that I still use to this day. So he's got to be my number one, or at least one of them. Another really big role model that I have, his name's Larry Labarsky.
Larry Labarsky?
Yeah, and his Instagram is Watch Me Amazon. If you've ever seen or heard of
Oh,
him.
watch me. Wait. Watch me Amazon. Hold on. I want to pull this. If this is the same guy, I'd like totally agree with you, but I've pretty sure I follow him. Watch me Amazon. Please, let me see. I do not follow him. I thought I was looking at what was this guy's name? Pay Amazon. I don't know this. Okay, so anyways, Larry. Tell me a little bit about Larry.
So Larry Labarsky is like the epitome of a started from nothing, ground your way up, like just like a true entrepreneur. So he's been doing Amazon wholesale for, I think, going on 8 years now. And he is now a pretty mega seller. Like he's an 8-figure seller. He does extremely well for himself. And
Oh, this guy. I saw.
yeah, you got to check him out. He's awesome, man. Absolutely awesome. But he's out of New York, and he started off, shipping pallets to his like apartment and boxes to like his apartment. And
Oh my god.
yeah,
Jeez,
seriously,
bro.
that's him.
This was wait. This. Oh no. This was Hurricane Sandy. Poor guy. But I see he's got a whole lot. Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah, he now operates 2 warehouses, one out of New Jersey, shout out, and one out of New York. And he just bought a brand new like mansion looking house. Like this guy is doing well, but he has a really awesome story. He actually started working for a guy who ran an Amazon business. I think it was an optical store. Like it's been a while since I listened to his story, but he ran some sort of retail store, and he decided to start selling online. He started selling on Amazon, and then he asked Larry to help him set up his EU business. So he set up business overseas using this guy's product, and basically acted as an entrepreneur and worked for him. There you go. It's coming full circle.
Right?
And yeah, so he worked for him, and he built out this whole side of the business, while taking an hourly wage, and helped this grow into a huge seller, helped this guy expand. And then he used those connections and ended up starting out on his own and building up his wholesale business. And, 8 years later, he is an absolute massive seller. He has a course now called Wholesale Academy. So my partner and I actually signed up and we're in that course. We took it last November, I believe. And now it's flush full of 800 plus Amazon sellers, anywhere from brand new, never sold a thing. There's even actually more than one or two 8-figure sellers, including Larry himself, in this group. So, I mean, even people at that level are getting value from it. And he does online trainings every couple weeks. He has a whole video background course and stuff like that. But it's like nothing else that I've ever been a part of. Like, you can find him on there every single day answering questions for people on his little Facebook group that he has, and he's like honestly the epitome of hustle and grind. And like, he could probably walk away right now with his family and never have to worry again, and like shut down his businesses and be fine. But you literally see him, people asking questions that have never sold anything on the platform before, and he's there, answering or replying. Still does these live trainings and stuff like that. So like, he's just been in the business that I'm in for a while now and understands every single aspect there is to it, and he like truly is eager to share that with people, to teach people. And it goes so much further than just like selling someone a video course because he wants to make the cash. He's just extremely genuine, and I've had multiple conversations with him, and he's straight up a good guy, and has good core values. He's a family man. He has massive business, but he's humble beyond all belief. He's in the same track. He's always growing and expanding. He runs a huge business, but he's not done. He's still hungry. Every single day he's always looking for new opportunities. So I see myself a lot in him, actually. And that saying's usually the other way, kind of the mentor says that, but at the same time I think that we share a lot of values. So I just really respect the hell out of that guy. So anyone who's watching this, make sure you go check out Watch Me Amazon. He's a good guy. If nothing else, he will just give you a ton of value and never ask anything in return. So that's got to be another one for me.
Facts. Okay, so we got Larry Labarsky and we have Tim Ferriss. I am pretty familiar with Tim. I have not read, was it Tools of Titan? Tools of Titans. I have not read that one yet. I've seen it. It was a little too intimidating for me when I first saw it. I started with the 4 Hour Work Week. That was like, it's like as thick as this one here. I'm reading. This is called Principles by Ray Dalio.
Oh yeah,
you read this one?
I haven't read it, but I obviously know of Ray Dalio.
Gosh, so thick.
He's a titan.
Oh yeah, and I had no idea who he was, and then I'm learning about his firm, learning about Bridgewater, and I'm learning about how important it is to build. One of the last couple of questions I'll ask, we'll conclude here, and I just really want to thank you for your time because I think this was awesome. I really appreciated to connect here, and I thought this was really cool, and I would love to do it again. But I wanted to touch on the last topic here, which was culture, because this man's literally built this whole organization up, and then it fell and up, and he based it all around the very, very transparent way of doing business. He built such awesome, incredible systems, and that's a whole other conversation, just impeccable systems, but culture. And he built his business around these principles and these values that helped him really align with the right people. Now, if you had I don't know how to really ask this, culture, do you value culture within your future operation with scaling? Because I know obviously you want to get some VAs and you want to build. What kind of culture do you want to embody with your future Amazon store, with it being freaking huge? I see it, it's going to happen, obviously. Come on. So what's that culture entail?
Culture is extremely important. I mean, we've all been a part of a work culture. If you have a job, you've been a part of some sort of work culture, whether it's positive or negative. Obviously, as an entrepreneur, the goal is to build a business that has employees, and with that you have to build culture. I think that that's probably going to be a huge strong point for me. I mean, there's definitely a lot of faults that I have, and sometimes I think one of them is getting too involved and being too involved, I guess, with
you get
people.
pretty emotional with people, because I'm the same way. I get very emotionally invested into people, and then there's that fine line with business, and I'm just does that make sense?
Yeah. That's the word I was looking for, invested. Yeah, I totally get emotionally invested with people. Like sometimes I'll be talking to my suppliers and like, we build personal relationships. I'm in a different country. I've never met almost all of them, but like I know, their dogs' names. I know like what state they live in. I know like their favorite football teams. You know what I mean? And I know
Yeah,
that once I start building a business, it's going to be no different. Like I value relationships over anything else. And I am what you would call an introverted extrovert. So I'm very comfortable once
I
I
get
get
it.
one-on-one with people. Like I'm not the type of person to jump up in front of a stage in front of 200 people and give a speech. But at the same time, you get me one-on-one with someone, kind of like how you and I are right now. Even though there might be, hundreds or thousands of people watching this later, if I get a good one-on-one with someone, like I want to spend the time. I want to learn about you. I want to know, what drives you, what you like to think about, what your life is, and like how that differs from mine, and what we can do for each other to grow each other, help each other. I think that's going to be no different with a company culture that I want to create and the people that I talk to, within my future organization. I don't think that that's going to change. I mean, it's going to be to my detriment because there's only 24 hours in the day, but at the same time, at least I will know what I have and where I am has a strong foundation. And I know that, the people that I work with embody all the same core values as me because I will spend the time and get to know them and know that, they are people that I can work with long term. So I strongly believe in the work culture. And I honestly think that my work culture is probably going to be a little too good, erring on the side of non-productivity or hindering it.
Yeah,
But at the same time, it's like I would rather have fun with what I do. I'd rather know the people that I work with, and I would rather, love what I do every day and have people that do the same than, run a crappy business that has poor work culture that makes 10% higher margins. You know what I mean?
understood. Understood. So, all in all, Mike, dude, you inspire the heck out of me. I've definitely learned a lot here, and just learning and seeing the way that you speak and learning more about the way that you do business has inspired me to take on some of the attributes that you've embodied in your journey, and I do appreciate that. Um, and I'm very, very excited to stay connected. And for everybody who sees this, if you want to learn more about wholesaling and Amazon and the whole e-com space, I highly recommend connecting with Mike here. If you want to reiterate your IG here, I'll probably tag it in the description on YouTube. But yeah, definitely check Mike out. I'll put his link in the bio. We have a whole lot of value we spat here. And again, Mike, I really do appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm most active on Instagram and YouTube. My YouTube is mostly focused around just throwing out all of the value that I have to give in the Amazon space. So I talk about Amazon FBA, wholesale specifically, and just like anything there is to do for that on my YouTube. So you can always go check those videos out. And it's just Mike Sieben, MikeSieben, just like my name. So go check me out there. I reply to all my comments and stuff like that. So feel free. And then Instagram, I'm really active on Instagram. And my Instagram is just Sieben, like Michigan, Sieben, like my last name. So find me on there, and I'm always willing to chat. If you guys have any questions about, anything we talked about today, about Amazon or anything else, feel free to reach out. I can always make myself available to have conversations with you guys. And really, one of my passions is just teaching other people kind of all the things that I've been through, helping people avoid mistakes, helping people grow, and just be on the same track that I think you and I are on. And I find it amazing to just get DMs and comments and messages of people just like, you've helped me in this one area, no matter how big or how small. Like it's such a good feeling to just know that, you help someone avoid a mistake or find knowledge that they may not otherwise been able to find or had to pay a ton of money to do so. Like I really find a reward in that. So yeah, long story short, check me out and let's connect.
Yeah, let's make it happen, guys. I'll find a way to tag everything here. I'm new to YouTube, but we'll get this all tagged out. So I'm gonna end this recording here. But I want to chat with you one last thing before we conclude. But for everybody watching this, thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys gained a ton of value out of this and keep up with the journeys. And if you want to do respect here, leave a like, leave a comment, any challenging beliefs, anything you guys would like to add, please feel free. And as always, subscribe and stay tuned. Thank y'all.